weekend, in a lot of ways, it was a great meet. It was a bit disappointing on beam. But we went in with a whole different situation. Not having Anna in the all-around on any of the events was certainly a challenge. I think the team has just become comfortable having their senior person there to kind of guide them and lead them through because she's so stable, especially on beam. And it's interesting because on beam, our leadoff did great, just knocked it out of the park. But I still feel somehow there was just a little bit of doubt. We got into such a good rhythm with the way that we had our lineup going on beam. I think it just threw us a bit. One other interesting thing about beam, I mean, the fact this is probably the first time Elise has fallen on beam, and I don't know how long, maybe a couple of years. And it's interesting because the last meet she got a 10. And the weird thing about getting a 10 is, or doing anything near perfect or perfect, is it doesn't go without notice at every level. So obviously you get the 10, everybody's all fired up, and the girl's going crazy, and the team's all crazy, and that is without saying. But then what happens after that, there's still typically repercussions. And sometimes what happens is the athlete feels invincible. And other times I feel like the athlete feels like, oh man, now the only thing that's good enough is a 10. And so I just wonder if that was playing in her mind a bit. And to be honest, I'm glad that we got this mistake out of the way now rather than later in the season. Individual highlights. Yeah, gosh, the 39.675 thing was finally broken. Vanessa getting a 39.7, that was a big deal for her. I think one of the great things, too, is to recognize that the girls have finals. I mean, Elise Hoffner-Hibbs had a final at 9 p.m. on Sunday after the competition. A couple of the girls had finals on Saturday. They got finals all day today. So I thought they dealt with the whole thing really well. I thought one of the real highlights at vault was just totally fun. Started off incredible. Monique De La Torre did one of her best vaults of the season, and just generally she looked like Monique, calm and confident. So that was really nice to see. It was exciting to see Brittany McCullough do her Yurchenko 1.5 again. It's just a crowd pleaser, and it's nice to step it up. Also, Tawny Fertone has been vaulting great all season, but there was a little bit of a lull for what she's capable of mid-season. And so we're seeing her step back her game to that championship status, and her vault was remarkable, near flawless, perfectly straight. And it's always cool when people do a different vault, you know, instead of Yurchenko full, since everybody's doing that. Another highlight, I would say, was Nikki Tom coming in on beam for us and going first and just knocking it out of the park. Like I commented earlier, it's just weird how that perfect setup didn't result in what you might have thought, but it's the nature of beam in the sport, I suppose. On floor, I mean, for me, one of the biggest highlights was Brittany's tumbling. Brittany's tumbling was just sky high and out of the park. And, you think back to the previous 3 years at UCLA where she's been plagued with injuries, whether it's a car wreck or something else. And to see her tumbling seemingly completely uninhibited is just a joy to watch. And she was on fire. Yeah, I think she's edging towards that 10-0 on floor. With Anna's ankle, if this was the NCAA championships, if it was this past weekend, she would have competed. It was a decision made based on the fact that it isn't the end of the season, and we need her to be 100%, and she's completely on board with that. And the timing was right to let her rest because now she's gotten this weekend, but also next weekend because it's a bye week. So she's going to get a couple weeks to heal up fully and start off charging the last 3 meets of the year as healthy as you can be. So, yeah, she'll be ready for back dance.